It's better than Primer. Peace out, everybody. Let me explain. A fascinating thriller by Spanish director Nacho Vigalondo, Timecrimes succeeds brilliantly in crafting an intricate, engaging narrative using time travel. What immediately interested me about this film was its almost dreamlike presentation in the opening. The scant dialogue, slow pace, frequent binocular shots, and strange images glimpsed from far away are all reminiscent of our narrow, drifting perception in our dreams. Timecrimes takes a while to get into gear, but you will be glued to the screen after the 10-minute mark. After he spies a naked woman in the forest and is stabbed by a man wearing pink bandages, middle-aged Hector becomes part of a temporal paradox. Working with a young scientist, Hector must manipulate events and influence past versions of himself so that the timeline plays out as it should. Looking back at Primer, the slick production from a guy with no filmmaking experience may have been the only thing in that movie that worked. The characters were bland, the dialogue was full of impenetrable jargon, and the screenplay was disjointed. Some plot points, including Abe and Aaron's plan to get rich from the stock market, were dropped prematurely, and a couple of plot points, such as the plan to stop the guy with a shotgun at a party, and Thomas Granger somehow using the time machine, either have little context or aren't explained, respectively. Going back several times to stop the guy with the shotgun feels convoluted and unnecessary, as the guy never hurt anybody anyway, and Abe's motivation to ingratiate himself with Aaron's wife and steal Aaron's family comes out of nowhere. I know that humans are fickle and easily distracted, but jumping from plot point to plot point without explaining or resolving some of those does not make for cohesive, satisfying storytelling. At least for me. On the basis of story and character development, Timecrimes leaves Primer in the dust. Instead of dull characters who don't grow, Timecrimes has a protagonist with a well-defined arc. Hector begins as a mild-mannered, wimpy guy who is teased by his wife Carla, but swiftly develops into a bold, forceful man literally in control of his own destiny. Hector's efforts to complete the timeline are unbelievably tense, as more and more complications appear to make his job more difficult. You are anxious for Hector to succeed, but are also shocked by the horrible acts he is prepared to commit in order to make his timeline play out properly. These include running a past self off the road, stabbing and traumatizing another past self, and even forcing a woman to strip at knife point. Much like the multiple levels of dreaming in Inception, Timecrimes has 3 different Hectors, all with important parts to play in piecing the events together, and every thread is wrapped up nicely in the film's tight, almost seamless narrative. Timecrimes is not a simple movie, but you don't need a tangled diagram to understand its intermingling timelines. On top of the excellent plot and characterization, Timecrimes has nice cinematography and very natural performances, and Barbara Goenaga is indescribably hot. It just goes to show you that when you outsource Primer to Spain, you end up with probably the most original, well-written, and compelling time travel movie I've ever seen. Timecrimes earns 5 stars out of 5. Thanks for watching. Cheers.